Hey everyone, Josh's Custom Builds here, and in today's Tech Tips video, we're going to be going over the Tokyo Marui Hi Capa valve knocker system. Thank you guys very much for voting on the poll. It helps the account engagement out a lot, and this valve knocker system definitely won by a landslide, so I'm going to show everyone how it functions. There are a few main pieces in the system. I like to refer to as this housing as the outer chassis. We of course have the valve knocker itself, the spring that applies tension to the valve knocker, the inner Hi Capa chassis, the screw that holds the chassis to the outer chassis. We have the valve knocker disconnector, which is also referred to commonly as the firing pin. And then hidden inside of the chassis, we also have the spring that applies tension to the valve knocker disconnector. So when the valve knocker is in the receded position like this, your hammer is going to be cocked. This piece of the hammer here is going to come forward when you pull the trigger and push the valve knocker forward. So obviously the idea behind that is when the valve knocker comes all the way forward, it's going to hit the valve of the magazine and expel gas so the gun can function. But as you can see here in the valve knocker itself, you have that little slot. So currently the disconnector is being held under the valve knocker by that little black protrusion there that's sticking out, and the valve knocker is applying pressure to it to hold it down. When the valve knocker comes forward like this, the disconnector is able to slide up through that little slot and come all the way up here. The idea behind this is when your slide cycles, your slide is going to come back over the disconnector. The disconnector is going to come back down. The spring's going to relieve tension on that. And the valve knocker is going to come back so the process can repeat again. Here's one of my assembled frames so you guys can get a better idea of how this functions. I currently have the valve knocker disconnector being pushed up by the spring because it was able to go through that little slot in the valve knocker that I showed you earlier. So basically when it is in this position, your slide is going to come back. It would hit the disconnector with the blowback unit. It's gonna push back, and then when you pull the trigger, your hammer will hit it. Green piece right there in the frame, that is the LA Capa Customs valve knocker. It is the valve knocker I use in all of my builds and my favorite valve knocker. I just want to show you what happens when the hammer is pressed and how the valve knocker comes forward. Boom. And as you know, that will be hitting the valve on the magazine. I threw a magazine in the frame here of my primary build, and the valve knocker, the LA Capa Customs one, as you can see it's green, is in the receded position. And what's going to happen when I pull the trigger is all of the gas in the magazine is going to come out because the valve knocker is going to come forward. Obviously, since there's no slide, nothing is cycling, so all the gas is going to expel. So, and there you have it, the valve knocker system.